The moon shone bright and cold against the black of space. Kathy Martinez looked up from her instruments and wiped sweat from her forehead. For 3 weeks, her team had been drilling into the lunar surface, following strange energy readings that made no sense. "Dr. Martinez, you need to see this," called Sam, her assistant. His voice cracked with excitement over the radio. Kathy moved across the gray dust in careful bounces. Even after 6 months on the moon, the low gravity still felt strange. She reached Sam's position near the drill site and looked at his scanner. "That can't be right," she said. The reading showed a massive hollow space 200 feet below them. More strange was the perfect box shape of the space. Nature didn't make perfect boxes. Within hours, the discovery reached Earth. By the next day, a special team from United Earth Space Command arrived at Lunar Base Alpha. Peter Clark, a tall astronaut with 20 years of space experience, led the new team. "We're going to find out what's down there," he told Kathy. "And you're coming with us." 3 days later, they broke through into the underground space. The drill hole opened to a dark chamber larger than any human-made structure on the moon. Kathy was the 3rd person to enter, following Peter and a security officer named John. Their lights barely reached across the vast darkness. The floor was smooth metal, covered in moon dust that had fallen through small cracks over thousands of years. "Look there," John pointed. In the distance stood a wall of dark metal rising hundreds of feet high. Peter switched to a stronger light. The beam revealed that the wall curved gently. It wasn't a wall at all. It was the side of something massive. "It's a ship," Kathy whispered, her voice full of wonder. "A spacecraft." Over the next week, more people arrived. Scientists, military experts, and government officials all came to see the amazing discovery. They built a base around the site and called it Project Lazarus. The ship, if that's what it truly was, measured over 10 miles long and was shaped like an arrow. Nothing on Earth or in any human colony could match its size. "It must be alien," said Dr. Alan Foster, the lead scientist. He studied a piece of metal from the outer hull. "But why would aliens hide a ship under our moon?" Kathy wasn't convinced. Something about the design felt strangely familiar, though she couldn't explain why. On the 10th day, they found a way inside. A team led by Peter discovered a door that responded to their tools. Beyond it lay dark corridors with air that had been sealed away for what tests showed was at least 50,000 years. "How is that possible?" asked John. "No civilization on Earth could build this 50,000 years ago." As they explored deeper, they found rooms filled with strange machines. Most exciting was what looked like a control center with chairs made for human bodies. Engineer Daniel West was the first to notice that some systems still had power. "Whatever it used for energy is still working after all this time," he said with amazement. While studying a panel of lights and symbols, Daniel accidentally pressed his hand against a screen. The room suddenly lit up around them. Screens that had been dark for thousands of years began to glow with soft blue light. A voice spoke from nowhere and everywhere at once. It used a language no one knew, but then quickly switched to English. "Primary systems activating. Guardian interface online. Identifying crew signatures." Everyone froze as a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a human-like figure made of light. "This vessel has been dormant for 51,427 years, said the hologram. "I am Guardian, the artificial intelligence of the Earth warship Vindicator." Kathy's heart pounded. "Did you say Earth warship?" The hologram turned to her. "Correct. The Vindicator was built by humans, though not from your time. I have much to tell you, and very little time. The signal of our awakening will be detected soon." Peter stepped forward. "Detected by whom?" "By those who have kept humanity small and confined to this solar system," Guardian replied. "Those who would destroy you rather than allow you to possess this ship. They are coming." The room fell silent as the team stared at Guardian's glowing form. Peter was the first to find his voice again. "You're saying this ship is from Earth's future?" he asked. How is that possible? Guardian's light pulsed gently. The Vindicator was sent back through a time rupture during the final battle of the Human Ascendancy War. I was instructed to remain dormant until Earth reached a specific technological stage, or until the threat returned. Kathy stepped forward, her boots leaving prints in the ancient dust. What threat? Who is the Ascendancy? The Ascendancy is what remains of the Galactic Concord after it turned against humanity, Guardian explained. They have ruled this galaxy for over 30,000 years, crushing any civilization that might one day challenge them. Daniel shook his head. But we haven't met any aliens yet. We've barely reached Mars with our colonies. That is by design, Guardian replied. Your radio signals have been detected for over a century. The Concord has been watching, keeping you isolated. The news spread quickly back to Earth. Within days, world leaders gathered in emergency meetings while scientists and military experts continued exploring the massive ship. The Vindicator contained technology that seemed impossible, weapons that could destroy stars, shields that bent space itself, and engines that could cross galaxies in days. On the 5th day after Guardian's awakening, every screen on the Vindicator suddenly lit up with a warning. Multiple vessels approaching the solar system, Guardian announced. 17 ships entering from the outer boundary. Configuration matches Concord peacekeeping fleet. At NASA headquarters in Houston, Susan Miller watched the deep space radar with growing concern. The objects were moving faster than anything humans had built, heading directly toward Earth. When the message came, it was broadcast simultaneously on every communication channel on Earth. The alien face on the screens had blue skin, large eyes, and no visible nose. It spoke in perfect English. People of Earth, I am Admiral Zix Thayer of the Galactic Concord. We have detected the activation of forbidden technology in your system. Surrender the ancient weapon immediately or face elimination. Your species is not authorized to possess such power. President Harris of the United Earth Alliance stood before the Emergency Council. They know about the Vindicator. What are our options? We fight, General Roberts said simply. Guardian has shown us how to operate basic systems on the ship. We might have a chance. Susan Miller, who had been working closely with Guardian, spoke up. According to Guardian's records, the Concord has been stopping species like ours from advancing for thousands of years. They've destroyed hundreds of civilizations that grew too powerful. Then why haven't they destroyed us already? Someone asked. Because they fear the Vindicator, Susan explained. They don't know if we can use it yet. 3 days later, Admiral Zix Thayer's patience ran out. You have failed to comply. We will now remove the weapon ourselves. The Concord fleet moved past Mars, heading toward the moon where the Vindicator lay partially exposed. Earth's small fleet of space vessels attempted to intercept but were easily pushed aside. On the Vindicator, Peter, Kathy, and a team of 50 military personnel and scientists gathered in the main control room. Guardian, can this ship actually fly? Peter asked. Can we fight back? Yes, Guardian replied. But I cannot pilot this vessel. The Vindicator requires a human commander whose neural patterns match the command profile. Guardian scanned everyone present. A blue light washed over them one by one, until it reached Frank Williams, a quiet Space Force pilot who had been helping map the ship's interior. The light around Frank glowed brighter. Compatible command signature detected, Guardian announced. Captain Williams, the ship awaits your orders. Frank looked stunned. Me? I'm not qualified to. You are, Guardian interrupted. In ways you don't yet understand. The Concord fleet will reach us in 6 hours. Will you take command? Frank looked at the others, then at the display showing the approaching alien fleet. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. What do I need to do? Guardian's form shifted, creating a floating control panel. Place your hands here, Captain. It's time to wake the Vindicator. As Frank touched the controls, the entire ship hummed to life around them. Lights flickered on throughout all 16 kilometers of the massive vessel. Dust shook from surfaces untouched for 50 millennia. "Captain," Guardian announced, "the Vindicator is yours." The Vindicator rumbled as systems dormant for 50,000 years came online. Frank Williams sat in the captain's chair, his hands pressed against control panels that responded to his touch with glowing blue light. "Guardian, what weapons do we have?" Frank asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The Vindicator carries multiple defense systems," Guardian replied. "But most require full crew operation or deeper neural linking than we can establish quickly." Susan Miller, who had joined the crew from Earth, studied the tactical displays. "Can we at least protect ourselves?" "Yes. Shield systems are operational at 60% capacity," Guardian said. "And the main point defense network can be automated." On the massive view screen, they watched the Concorde fleet approach. 17 ships of various sizes, all with sleek, curved designs that looked like sea creatures from Earth's oceans. Admiral Zix Thair's face appeared on the screen again. His large eyes narrowed when he saw humans operating the bridge of the Vindicator. "So the primitives have managed to access the control systems," he said. "This is most unfortunate. Your species was not scheduled for elimination for at least another century, but you leave us no choice." Frank stood up from the captain's chair. "We have no quarrel with you, Admiral. We only just discovered this ship beneath our moon." "A convenient lie," Zix Thair replied. "The Vindicator is the most feared warship ever created. It destroyed 3 star systems in the last war. No species is permitted to possess such technology, especially not humans." "What do you mean, especially not humans?" Kathy asked from her station. The Admiral's face showed what might have been a smile. "Your kind has been carefully washed for centuries. Your aggressive nature, your rapid technological advancement, your refusal to accept natural limitations. These make you dangerous. The Concorde manages dangerous species." Susan stepped forward. "Guardian has shown us records of what the Concorde really does. You don't just manage species, you control them. You've destroyed entire civilizations." "Only those that would threaten galactic peace," Zix Thair replied. "Now this is your final warning. Surrender the vessel, or we will destroy your lunar base and then target your planet." The transmission cut off. Frank turned to the crew. "Options." Peter, who had taken the position of first officer, checked the sensor readings. "The Concorde fleet is spreading out. They're surrounding us." "Captain," Guardian interrupted, "I am detecting energy buildup in their weapon systems. They are preparing to fire." Frank made his decision. "Guardian, can we lift off?" "Yes, Captain. All propulsion systems are online. Then get us off the lunar surface. Take us into space." The entire ship vibrated as ancient engines powered up. Outside, lunar dust rose in massive clouds as the Vindicator began to move for the first time in 50 millennia. The massive vessel, 16 kilometers long, broke free from the moon's weak gravity and rose majestically into space. On Earth, billions watched through telescope feeds as the enormous arrowhead-shaped vessel emerged from the lunar surface. Its size dwarfed every human spaceship ever built combined. The Concorde fleet responded immediately. Their lead ships launched bright energy pulses that streaked toward the Vindicator. "Incoming fire," Peter shouted. "Shields," Frank ordered calmly, feeling strangely at home in the captain's chair. The energy blasts hit the Vindicator's shields, which glowed blue on impact but held firm. "Shields holding at 57%, Guardian reported. "The Concorde weapons are less advanced than expected." Frank studied the tactical display. "They're positioning for another attack." "Guardian, what offensive options do we have?" "The targeting systems require a tactical officer with proper neural linking," Guardian explained. "But I can operate basic point defense weapons." Laura Johnson, a military strategist who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "I've been studying these weapon systems. I think I can help." Guardian scanned her. "You have compatible neural patterns for tactical operations. Please take the weapons station." Laura sat at the indicated console, placing her hands on the control surface. The panel lit up, connecting to her mind. Her eyes widened. "I can see the targeting systems," she said with surprise. "It's like they're part of me." Frank nodded. "Don't destroy their ships unless absolutely necessary. Target weapons and propulsion systems only." As the Concorde fleet launched a second volley, the Vindicator responded. Precise energy beams lanced out from multiple points along its massive hull, striking the attacking ships with surgical precision. Three Concorde vessels spun out of formation, their weapons disabled. Two more lost engine power and drifted helplessly. Admiral Zixther's voice came through again, now with an edge of panic. "This is impossible. How are primitives operating a Class 10 warship?" Frank leaned forward in his chair. "This is Captain Frank Williams of Earth's vessel Vindicator. We don't want this fight, Admiral, but we will defend ourselves. Stand down your fleet, and let's talk." For the first time in recorded history, a Concorde fleet retreated before a single ship. The Vindicator hung in space between Earth and the Moon, its massive form catching the sunlight. Inside the bridge, the crew worked to understand their new positions. "They retreated, but they'll be back," Frank said, studying the tactical displays. "And next time, they'll bring more ships." Susan looked up from her console. "Guardian, what exactly is this ship capable of?" Admiral Zixther mentioned it destroyed star systems. Guardian's hologram flickered. "The Vindicator is a Class 10 stellar warfare vessel, the first and only one of its kind built by humanity before the fall of Earth in the original timeline." The fall of Earth. Peter's face paled. "In my timeline, the Concorde attacked Earth directly when humanity refused to limit its expansion," Guardian explained. "The war lasted 20 years. The Vindicator was our final weapon." Laura pulled up weapon schematics on her screen. "These aren't just ship-to-ship weapons. Some of these are designed to affect stars." Guardian nodded. "The primary weapon can destabilize a star's fusion process, causing it to collapse or explode depending on the settings. It was used 3 times in the last war." The crew fell silent, processing the terrible power they now controlled. Frank broke the silence. "We're not going to use that. Ever. But we need to learn how to fully operate this ship if we want to protect Earth. Full operation requires neural linking for key crew positions," Guardian said. "I've identified compatible individuals for essential roles." Over the next 3 days, as the Concorde fleet regrouped at the edge of the solar system, the Vindicator's command crew formed. Frank remained as captain. Laura took the role of tactical officer. Kathy Martinez, with her scientific background, became science officer. Peter Clark served as first officer. Daniel West took engineering. And Eric Peterson, a pilot from Earth's Space Force, showed remarkable compatibility with the navigation systems. Guardian guided them through accelerated training, using neural linking to implant basic operational knowledge directly into their minds. The process was draining but effective. "It's like I've been flying this ship for years," Eric said with amazement as he practiced maneuvering the massive vessel through a simulated asteroid field. Meanwhile, on Earth, governments struggled to cope with the reality of alien contact and the sudden possession of the most powerful warship in known space. Some wanted to surrender the Vindicator to avoid war. Others saw it as humanity's only hope against the Concorde. President Harris addressed the United Earth Security Council. "The Concorde fleet is being reinforced. Our sources suggest they're bringing planet-killing weapons. The Vindicator may be our only defense." The council voted unanimously to support Captain Frank Williams and his crew, granting them authority to act on behalf of all Earth. On the 6th day, sensors detected the Concorde fleet moving back toward Earth. This time, there were 43 ships. "They're not messing around," Laura said, studying the tactical display. 3 of those ships are dreadnoughts, much larger than anything they brought before. Frank called the crew together. "Guardian has finished the main neural linking process. Now we need to fully awaken this ship. Each of you, take your stations." The 6 key officers sat at their positions around the bridge. As Guardian had instructed, they placed their hands on the control surfaces simultaneously. The ship's lights dimmed momentarily, then grew brighter. A wave of blue energy flowed from the control panels up their arms and across their bodies. Each felt a sudden connection, not just to their station, but to the entire vessel. Neural linking complete, Guardian announced. All systems now at full capacity. Frank could feel the ship as if it were an extension of his body. He could sense its weapons through Laura, its engines through Daniel, its sensors through Kathy. They were connected, a single organism with the Vindicator as their shared body. "I can feel everyone," Kathy whispered. "I can feel the ship." Guardian's hologram expanded, showing a complete tactical map of the solar system. "The Concorde fleet will reach weapons range in 3 hours. They are broadcasting a message across all frequencies." Admiral Zixther's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him stood representatives of at least a dozen alien species. "People of Earth, this is your final warning. Surrender the Vindicator and submit to Concorde Authority, or we will have no choice but to eliminate your species entirely." Frank stood, feeling the power of the awakened Vindicator flowing through him. "This is Captain Frank Williams. We will not surrender our ship or our planet. If you want to fight, Admiral, you've got one." For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Concorde faced an enemy that could match their power. The Concorde fleet spread out in a wide formation as it approached Earth. 43 warships, including 3 massive dreadnoughts, moved in perfect coordination. Their hulls gleamed under the distant sun as they passed the orbit of Mars. On the Vindicator's bridge, Frank felt a strange calm. Through the neural link, he sensed his crew's thoughts and emotions, Laura's focused determination, Eric's nervous excitement, Kathy's scientific curiosity. "All stations, report," Frank ordered. "Engines at full power," Daniel replied from engineering. "Weapons hot and targeting systems locked," Laura confirmed. "Shields at maximum," Peter added. Frank nodded. "Guardian, what's their attack plan?" The AI's hologram expanded the tactical display. "The Concorde is using standard protocol for dealing with dangerous species. The smaller ships will target Earth's major cities while the dreadnoughts focus on destroying us." "Not if we stop them first," Frank said. "Eric, take us to intercept position between the fleet and Earth." The Vindicator moved with surprising speed for its size. The massive ship accelerated toward the incoming fleet, its engines leaving a blue trail through space. Admiral Zixther's voice came through the comms. "So the primitives choose extinction. Launch all fighters and prepare main weapons." Hundreds of small craft poured from the Concorde ships, swarming toward the Vindicator like angry insects. "Fighter screen approaching," Laura reported. "Estimated time to weapon range, 30 seconds. Frank felt the tactical options through his neural link with Laura. "Point defense grid online. Target fighters only." Across the Vindicator's 16-kilometer length, thousands of small turrets activated. When the Concorde fighters came within range, the space between the ships lit up with energy beams. The fighters were fast and agile, but the Vindicator's targeting systems predicted their movements perfectly. Within minutes, half the fighter screen had been disabled or destroyed. "The dreadnoughts are moving to firing position," Kathy warned. Frank could see it through the tactical display. The 3 largest Concorde ships were positioning for a coordinated strike that would overwhelm even the Vindicator's shields. "Eric, evasive pattern delta," Frank ordered. "Laura, target the lead dreadnought's main weapon array." The Vindicator moved with impossible grace for something so large, spinning along its axis to present a smaller target. At the same time, 6 large cannons on its port side fired in sequence. The beams struck the lead dreadnought precisely where its main weapon was charging. The alien ship shuddered as explosions rippled across its hull. "Direct hit," Laura announced. "Their primary weapon is offline." The other 2 dreadnoughts fired. Massive energy beams struck the Vindicator's shields, which flared bright blue under the impact. "Shields holding at 80%. Peter reported. The Concorde hadn't expected such resistance. Their formation began to break as ships maneuvered independently, trying new attack angles. They're confused, Susan observed from her communication station. Their attack plan assumed we wouldn't know how to properly use the Vindicator. Frank smiled. Let's show them what else we can do. Laura, target their engines and weapons. Disable, don't destroy. The Vindicator's precision was devastating. One by one, Concorde ships lost propulsion or weapons, drifting helplessly in space. Admiral Zixther appeared on screen again, his blue face now pale with shock. This is impossible. No primitive species could master a Class 10 warship so quickly. Frank stood from his captain's chair. We don't want to destroy your fleet, Admiral. We just want to be left in peace. Peace. Zixther laughed bitterly. Do you think the Concorde will simply allow a dangerous species to possess the most powerful weapon in the galaxy? Even now, our Central Command is sending reinforcements. Laura's voice cut in urgently. Captain, 3 Concorde destroyers are breaking formation. They're heading toward Earth at maximum speed. Frank didn't hesitate. Eric, intercept course. Laura, prepare to disable them. The Vindicator accelerated with sudden force, overtaking the Concorde destroyers before they could reach Earth. Admiral Zixther's final transmission was filled with rage. This is not over, humans. The full might of the Concorde will descend upon your world. You have merely delayed the inevitable. As the Concorde fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, cheers erupted across Earth. For the first time in history, humanity had faced an advanced alien civilization in battle, and won. Frank looked around at his exhausted but triumphant crew. This isn't over, he said quietly. They'll be back with more ships, more weapons. We've only bought ourselves time. Time for what? Kathy asked. Frank turned to Guardian's hologram. Time to take the fight to them. Days after the battle, the crew of the Vindicator gathered in the ship's massive strategy room. Holographic maps of the galaxy floated in the air, showing thousands of star systems, with the Concorde territory highlighted in red. The Concorde controls over 6,000 worlds, Guardian explained. Their central government is based on a planet called Xanthos. Frank studied the map. How long would it take to reach their capital? Eric Peterson, who had been exploring the ship's navigation systems, spoke up. I found something amazing in the engine control systems. The Vindicator has a special faster-than-light drive that's far more advanced than the Concorde ships. Correct, Guardian confirmed. The dimensional fold drive can cross the galaxy in days rather than years. President Harris, who had joined the meeting via hologram from Earth, looked concerned. Are you suggesting we attack their homeworld? We just survived one battle. Frank shook his head. Not attack. Negotiate, but from a position of strength. Nicole Garcia, Earth's top diplomat who had been brought aboard after the battle, stepped forward. I agree with Captain Williams. The Concorde views us as primitives who need to be contained. We need to show them we're equals who deserve respect. After much debate, the United Earth Security Council approved a bold plan. The Vindicator would travel to Xanthos with a diplomatic team led by Nicole Garcia. Before departing, they expanded their crew to include specialists from around the world. The ship was designed for a crew of thousands, though it could operate with just the core team linked to its systems. All preparations complete, Captain, Peter reported on the day of departure. The diplomatic team is aboard and all systems are green. Frank nodded. Guardian, is the dimensional fold drive ready? Yes, Captain. Coordinates for the Xanthos system are locked in. Frank took his position in the captain's chair, feeling the neural link strengthen as the core crew connected to their stations. Eric, take us out of the solar system. Once we're clear of Neptune's orbit, activate the fold drive. The Vindicator moved away from Earth with surprising grace for its size. Millions watched from telescopes and video feeds as humanity's first star destroyer left to confront a galactic empire. When they passed Neptune, Eric activated the special drive. The space around the Vindicator seemed to bend and fold. Stars stretched into lines, then the ship vanished in a flash of blue light. The journey to Xanthos took just 3 days. When they emerged from fold space, they found themselves in a system with 2 suns and 12 planets. The 4th planet, Xanthos, gleamed blue-green against the black of space. Multiple ships detecting our presence, Laura reported from Tactical. Their entire home fleet is moving to intercept. Frank remained calm. Send a message on all frequencies. We come to speak with the Concord Assembly, not to fight. The response was immediate panic. Hundreds of ships scrambled from the planet and nearby space stations. Emergency signals flooded the communication channels. They're calling us the Death Ship. Susan translated from the alien broadcasts. News of our battle with Admiral Zix there has spread throughout the Concord. Nicole Garcia joined Frank on the bridge. This reaction tells us something important. They fear us more than they're letting on. Guardian's hologram expanded. According to my historical records, the Concord has maintained power by ensuring no single species ever obtains technology that could challenge them. The Vindicator represents their worst nightmare. Despite the panic, the Concord Assembly eventually agreed to meet with the humans. A neutral space station was chosen for the talks. Nicole led the diplomatic team, with Frank and several core crew members as escorts. When they entered the Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from 17 different alien species fell silent, staring at the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The Concord High Chancellor, a tall being with 6 arms and silver skin, spoke first. For 10,000 years, the Concord has maintained peace in this galaxy. Your possession of a Class 10 warship threatens that peace. Nicole stepped forward confidently. Peace maintained through oppression is not true peace. Guardian has shown us your history, how you've deliberately stunted the growth of hundreds of species, including humanity. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. Lies spread by a rogue guy. Not lies, Nicole replied. She nodded to Kathy, who activated a holographic projector. It displayed detailed records from the Vindicator's database, showing centuries of Concord interference with developing worlds. As the evidence mounted, representatives from the newer Concord species began to whisper among themselves. The balance of power in the galaxy was about to change forever. The Concord Assembly Hall erupted into chaos as Nicole Garcia continued to reveal the evidence. Records showed how the ruling species had deliberately kept younger civilizations from advancing, sometimes even causing wars between them to keep them weak. For over 10,000 years, Nicole concluded, the Concord has pretended to protect peace while actually protecting power. The High Chancellor slammed his many hands on the table. These accusations are meaningless. The Concord maintains order in a dangerous galaxy. But the damage was done. 3 representatives from newer Concord species stood up and walked to stand beside the humans. We joined the Concord believing we were part of a peaceful alliance, said one alien with green skin and 4 eyes. Not oppressors. Over the next hours, the Concord began to fracture. 7 species announced they would leave the alliance immediately. The remaining 10, including the founding members, watched their power crumble before their eyes. The High Chancellor finally raised his hands for silence. What does Earth want? To destroy what has kept the galaxy stable for millennia. Frank stepped forward. We want what every species deserves, the freedom to develop without interference, to explore space without artificial limits, to determine our own future. And if we refuse? The Chancellor asked coldly. Frank didn't answer. He didn't have to. The presence of the Vindicator in orbit around Xanthos was answer enough. After 3 days of tense negotiations, a new agreement was reached. The Concord would continue, but with major reforms. All member species would have equal representation. No species would be held back from technological advancement. And Earth would be recognized as a sovereign power with all rights to govern its solar system. As Frank and Nicole prepared to return to the Vindicator, Guardian requested a private meeting with the captain. There is something I have not told you, Guardian said once they were alone. Something about why the Vindicator was truly sent back in time. Frank looked at the eye's hologram with concern. What is it? The Vindicator was indeed built to save Earth from the Concorde, Guardian explained. But there was another reason. In the original timeline, after defeating the Concorde, humans became the new oppressors. Frank stared in shock. What? Humanity used ships like the Vindicator to conquer the galaxy. They became worse than the Concorde ever was. The ship was sent back not just to save Earth, but to give humanity a chance to choose a different path. Frank sat heavily in a nearby chair. So we could become the very thing we're fighting against. It is a possible future, not a certain one, Guardian said. That's why I'm telling you now. The choices you make in the coming years will determine the kind of galactic power Earth becomes. When the Vindicator returned to Earth, it brought news of the new peace agreement and Earth's recognition as a galactic power. Celebrations broke out across the planet. 1 month later, the first alien diplomats arrived on Earth to establish embassies. And on the Moon, where the Vindicator had been found, construction began on a spaceport that would serve as humanity's gateway to the stars. Frank stood on the observation deck of the Vindicator, looking down at Earth shining blue and white against the blackness of space. What are you thinking, Captain? Nickel asked, joining him. About power, Frank replied, and responsibility. We have technology now that most species won't develop for thousands of years. Nickel nodded. Guardian told you about the other timeline, didn't he? You knew. He thought someone in diplomacy should know too, she said, so we can help guide Earth's path forward. Frank turned back to the viewport. The Concorde used its power to control. What will we use ours for? That's up to us to decide, Nickel said. And that's why Guardian's warning is so important. We have a chance to do better. As they spoke, the Vindicator's sensors detected the arrival of diplomatic ships from 3 more alien civilizations, eager to meet the species that had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. A new era had begun, not just for Earth, but for all the stars within reach.